Good morning and welcome back to SunUp on 7. In case you missed it just now, you need to go rewatch our very hot couch talk as we discussed last night's Uncut. But happy to be moving on from that topic at this moment, and we are now here joined with the new, the commander and the new Brigadier General of the BDF, Mr. Asariel Loria. I hope I never butchered your name. That's correct. So we would like to thank him for being on the couch here with us this morning. And how are you this morning?
Very good. First of all, thank you very much, television viewers. Thanks to Channel 7 for inviting me today. I know that you guys tried to get in touch with me last week, but I was super busy.
I could imagine.
I know, there's a lot that's been going on though.
Yeah, I mean, the standing over ceremony was last Friday.
You had the telethon too as well, if I'm not mistaken.
And the telethon is this Friday, the BDF.
Oh, it's this Friday?
This Friday.
This
okay.
Friday. It was meant to be last week Friday.
I know it was.
But then it was raining very hard in the morning. We had technical difficulties in broadcasting it.
Oh, okay.
So that had to be pushed back to this Friday.
So now it's this Friday at the same time at 9 o'clock?
From 10 to 12.
Okay, 10 to 12, different time now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so Brigadier General Loria, can we start off first, because we realize that there's a lot of viewers out there that may not know what the BDF is and what roles the BDF plays here in Belize. Could you just educate our viewers there?
Yes, the Belize Defense Force formed 44 years ago, as you have known by now. We celebrated the 44th anniversary.
Right.
An amalgamation of various elements, various security forces. So it started the 1st of January, actually, in 1978. So from there on, we started to write our own story. So in 1993, there is when I became part of the BDF. So from that time, it was sent abroad, but then you asked me about what the BDF is about. It was formed, the BDF was formed to provide primarily for the defense of Belize from external aggression. We have 3 roles, and that is the first role is to provide for the defense of Belize. The second one is to provide assistance to the civilian authorities, the departments, the ministries, and other agencies, up to NGOs. We do provide that assistance when required.
Okay.
And in the realm of security and any other tasks as assigned by the Governor General, that is when we have emergencies like hurricanes.
Okay.
Or if we need to provide some sort of assistance to our Caribbean brothers and sisters in the region, we have done so in the past. I think that the last time that we went out was when Dominica was heavily impacted. We went there to provide that assistance in trying to get themselves rebuilt.
Okay.
Commander, in regards to the Belize Defense Force, what would you see as you analyze the overall organization and see what has been the biggest challenge that the Belize Defense Force has experienced as of recently? I know COVID has been a big setback, but in what regards could possibly really cause challenges with the Belize Defense Force?
The challenges that I have seen throughout my career, like I mentioned before, it started in 1993. We have been struggling with mostly equipment. We have been struggling with training. The infrastructure that we inherited from the British was good at the time, but it needed to be maintained and heavily maintained, spending a lot of money that we couldn't afford. And the other challenge that I saw is that we do training at the tactical and a bit of the operational level when it comes to the enlisted. But then training at the operational and strategic levels for the officers, the officers such as middle managers and above the senior leadership, we don't have in Belize. And hence we have to go and get it from abroad. it would be wonderful if we could do our own training at those levels too as well.
Right,
Yeah, most definitely.
I know studying in Jamaica, I met up with a lot of them that were over there doing their training as well, and I wondered myself, why isn't Belize doing this, especially in terms of being pilots, the Air Force itself.
Yes.
I realized that there was a lot of them there, and shout out to all of them that I met over there as well, and shout out to the BF.
Yeah.
But Brigadier General, in terms of the handing over ceremony now, which occurred last week, how was it that you were selected, and what was your take on the entire ceremony itself?
Okay, in order for me to be selected, or in general, for a matter of, as a matter of fact, we have to be officers, of course, and to qualify for officers, we have to do an officer selection board, be successful, then we're sent abroad. Usually it's a one-year course, military education, where we become, on completion of that, we're commissioned when we're back in Belize, we're commissioned and promoted to the rank of second lieutenants. From there, the officer starts to make his progression. He starts to progress, and depending on his performance, he will be sent abroad on courses so that he could continue his career progression. And of course, he will be put in places of to do staff functions and command appointments. And when he reaches that maturity, he will be selected to go abroad to do a what we call a general's course. We usually attend the RCDS, that's the Royal College of Defense Studies in the United Kingdom. Past generals have done that. Past commanders of the Belize Defense Force have done that. And also, now we are doing War College in the United States. So I am a War College graduate in the United States, and that is also a one-year course in National Security and Strategic Studies. So that plus the experience is the criteria for us to be considered.
So you definitely see that you've studied a lot and you've had experience working, I believe you said from 1993.
From 93.
That's almost 30 years now.
That's a lot. That's a lot. And so in regards to seeing, and you mentioned over the years, you've seen different challenges for the Belize Defense Force, and now we're here in 2022. What would be your vision moving forward and how you plan to uplift the Belize Defense Force and understand to get to a better place where you see maybe more trainings or trainings happening here in Belize, that something that we can be able to own for ourselves? What are your thoughts towards?
So the force had a mission before, but there was this first general, General Lloyd Gillett, that went abroad to study in the United Kingdom. So when he came back, he formulated our first vision statement. And I was a part of that formulation too as well. That was some 15 years ago. Other commanders have come and gone, and the vision statement has changed very little. Very little, some little words, but not by much.
Okay.
So I understand that vision statement very well. So in that regard, it says that we have to be a credible defense, provide peace for us here in Belize, peace and security, assist with the prosperity, security and prosperity for the nation, be agile, embrace technology. So if we are to continue with that vision statement, and I will, because that's my intent, and I was part of the formulation process of that vision statement. I do intend to do it, but again, how do we do it? What do we need to do it? What do we need to tackle first so that we can continue to move the force forward? And I thought about it, and I talked to retired generals. I spoke to my ministry for guidance. They provide me the guidance. they want, the ministry's guidance is that they are very deep into the welfare, morale, and accountability of the Belize Defense Force. And I spoke also to the other ranks, and then I concurred that we need to do something about the senior leadership. We need to make sure that the senior leadership is in sync with what we're doing. But in all of this, I am like the master chef. I am the coordinator, so I have to get that team together, that senior leadership together. Yesterday, we did our first meeting, our 2.5 hours, talking to them and telling them, outlining the plans that we intend to
embark on.
To do for the next 3 to 4 years. So that is the essence. That is the head. Once we have that head going, the ways that we intend to achieve our objectives will be far easier. And of course, we could name it infrastructure development, technology. We have to digitize our army, training. We have to find ways how to, it will not be perhaps during my 4 years that we will establish all the schools that, like pilot schools, national, the 1-year courses. That will be kind of difficult. But then that's the idea. We are heading in that direction, that someday we will be independent in our own training, so that we could bring more capacity. It's all about capacity building to our forces, so that one day we could be there.
I like the fact that you want to set the platform for that. That is something very important, and we must start off from the bottom, work our way up.
Yes.
And I do like the fact, and I commend you on the fact that you have been in communication with the previous generals, the administration, and all those people to get that idea of what it is exactly that needs to be done.
You definitely need to learn from like the past mistakes or the past triumphs and know exactly where you want to steer. In regards to that progressive mentality, that negotiation mentality, and consultation mentality, I want to look at what an incident happened in the past with one of the past commanders, and the idea of just misconduct and alleged sexual abuse assaults. Because people think that when you think about BDF, we think about just men, but there are women that are enlisted as well. And so I just want to talk about that situation and just maybe your thoughts of how we can be able to root out those type of behaviors moving forward. Because of course, you know, these things will come up, but how do you feel like you're going to be able to handle a situation of this magnitude, or what you can put in place so we don't have situations, alleged situations of this kind?
Right, and this is not unique only to the Belize Defense Force. As I mentioned to you before, I studied in the United States at the U.S. Army War College in Pennsylvania. And we did training on something that is called SHARP, Sexual Harassment, Assault, and Response. They too were having difficulties in rape, sexual harassments, and they were trying to get their officers to understand what it is and look into it and try to, where discipline is concerned, to take action, swift action. No different here. And in Belize, in the Belize Defense Force, in the past, we used to have a cap on the females that wanted to join the women that wanted to join the force. We said it was 10%. It was an unwritten rule, but 10%. Now that is something of the past. Anyone that wants to join the Belize Defense Force can do so, as long as they are showing the aptitude, the character to do it. And they could choose any position, any post that they would want to. No longer will they be only clerks and whatnot. If they want to be at the front, they can do so now. So, and in regards to policies that we have put in place, the previous general, well, it was something that he inherited, unfortunately.
Sadly, yeah.
He inherited it, but we managed to maneuver. It seems as if we understood the problem, and we put in place policies. Of course, with the help of our lawyer, because we now have a lawyer, we're growing. We have a lawyer, and he started to draft our internal legislation. So
this is Major Oliveira?
Major Oliveira.
I went to school with him. I'm proud of that.
Beautiful. So he did that for us. So the soldier, whoever that is alleging sexual harassment or any type of sexual harassment, sexual misconduct in the BDF, has the right to go outside to the police,
Okay.
or do it internally if he or she so wishes. So they have that option. They have the option to seek justice.
I like the fact that things are being implemented in that area, and I can tell you that from the Coast Guard as well, there is another initiative happening there. And I think the three security forces, Police Department, BDF, and the Coast Guard, have somewhat had communications with amalgamizing everything to create one safe structure throughout.
You're talking about women in peace and security.
I think so, yes.
Well, that is something that was discussed at the United States Congress for the U.S. military. And after that, it was just disseminated throughout the world. And we saw the security forces as something that needs to be done. It's something very useful for us. So we embrace that. Our point of contact for that is Major Roberta Osher. She is the coordinator. She is coordinated with the Coast Guard and the police department when it comes to that peace and security.
Right.
I like to see things like that happening.
It's a good initiative, and that will point us in the right direction to avoid those type of allegations and misconduct scandals.
In the recent past, there was this whole idea of a rape culture being circulated amongst the security forces, and so I'm happy to hear that there are these initiatives indeed to ensure. And I know that I've had a little knowledge about the SHARP system as well.
Yeah.
So that is again something very much progressive.
And it's important to create a safe environment for these soldiers, everyone, male and female, it doesn't matter the gender, so that they can know that if anything happens, that they can be able to report something, that they're in a safe place where their voices can be heard, that they will receive justice, whatever that case may be. And I think that is a good tone to set, because they're out there risking their lives defending us all the time. So they need a sort of defense too as well for themselves.
Yes.
I think that's super important to be able to have.
And gone are the days when a soldier reported misconduct of sexual harassment, and the leadership kind of sweep it under the rug.
Yeah.
Now there is social media, and once that gets out there, it's the public that will clamor for justice for that individual. So we have to change too. We are living in modern times.
We are, and we have to get with the program.
And make sure that they get their justice, their due justice.
I mean, I like the initiative, and like I said before too, it's not only in that regard, but in your progression going forward. And definitely, like you said, we need that infrastructure here in Belize, because I could imagine in terms of sending soldiers over international arenas to actually do their training, I could imagine there's a lot of expenses there when it comes to that. How does the BDF raise monies for these expenses? I know that there's scholarship programs for children of the soldiers, but what about the ongoing educational process of actual soldiers?
Yes, the military education for our soldiers, we rely on our partners, our regional partners, and the United Kingdom. We have officers studying all the way in Taiwan, and we depend on their goodwill so that they could provide us with scholarship opportunities. So the education is essentially a scholarship, free, and we capitalize on that.
Okay.
But now we have to provide the officer with some allowances because the standard of living out there is a bit higher than here in Belize. So we provide that person with allowances. For now, it's working for us. Our army is small, but as we continue, as Belize gets a larger population, I think that we will have to, the Belize Defense Force will also grow undeniably. I believe that we'll be having threats, and we will have to find means and ways to try to deter those threats from coming into our country. And we cannot do it with a small number of forces. I believe that in the future, the Belize Defense Force will get larger. And if that happens, we will need our own schools here, our own schools of excellence. Okay. It is being done in Jamaica right now, and but Jamaica has 3 million.
They have the numbers.
They have the numbers, and the economy could support it.
Right.
So we'll have to look at all of those things before we. But that is the thinking that we have at this time. We're looking at it very closely.
All right.
Well, thank you so much, Commander, for being here, for giving us your big plans to come up. Keeping with the vision, I know you mentioned it hasn't been much change, but the idea of progression, of creating safe places for these soldiers and raising the funds, as people may not know or may have forgotten, last week we were supposed to have the telethon, but we're changing it to this Friday from 10 to 12 p.m. So if you want to call in and donate, these funds go directly to medical expenses, to scholarship programs for the BDF soldiers, their children, and also for themselves. So can you please be able to stay tuned for that and to look in and donate if you can. It's always important to help the people that are trying to defend and help us. And so with that, we go to our next commercial break. When we're back, we're going to be talking Yadlight?
Yadlight.
Oh, shoot. I said really wrong. Yadlight, but also about a football tournament coming up January 30th. So stay tuned for that update and exciting conversation. We'll be right back.